Hello everyone, my name is Amber. Welcome to my channel, Amber Reads Romance. Today I am here with my first weekly wrap up for December. So I'm going to be going over all the books that I read from the 1st through the 7th. And I had all ARCs and ALCs. It was a stressful week because all of them were coming out at the same time. So let's go ahead and get started because I have 9 books to go over. Okay guys, so we're just gonna get started right off the bat here because I have 9 books to go over. They are literally all ARCs and ALCs, like I said. I was so stressed because I literally had like maybe 2 books per day that were coming out and I was behind. So it was a tough week. I haven't even got started on the fantasy reads I have for my TBR for the Romantasy readathon that I'm co-hosting. So I feel so bad about that. But like I had to get these ARCs done. It's my fault. I just see a book that I want. I request the ARC. I am keeping track of it on like a spreadsheet and everything, but I don't always pay attention that like literally there were some releasing the 1st, the 2nd. I had 2 on the 5th and the 2 on the 6th. So it's just been really crazy. So anyways, let's go ahead and just dive into my reads this week because I have 9. All right. So the first one that I listened, it was actually an ALC. So I listened to this audiobook and this was just a really quick holiday novella. I've been getting lots of those and ALCs because I don't really read a ton of holiday romance. So I've actually been really enjoying getting ALCs for them and kind of getting in some Christmas stuff. This is kind of Christmas, kind of holiday, but it's a really quick, cute novella. And I haven't even told you what it is. It is Better Than the Beach by Brit, Benson. I have not read this series, but it is in the Better Love series. This is 2.5, just a quick novella. And this is between Nolan and Cassie. And Cassie is basically kind of snowed into this town. She had to come to this for some kind of like, I think for her like class or whatever, because she's going to school to become a teacher. She doesn't really want to be a teacher, but her parents are kind of pushing her into that because she wants to do like music therapy and they're kind of pressuring her to do something more stable or whatever with teaching. So she's not really that passionate about it, but she had to kind of go to this thing for her class. And she's supposed to be flying out to Hawaii to go for 2 weeks during the holidays with her friends. But the weather is really bad. She gets snowed in. It doesn't look like it's going to be available for quite a while. And all the places are like booked around the area. So she's freaking out. She's at the bar at the airport and this really nice bartender kind of sees what's going on and she lets her know, hey, my grandma has this bed and breakfast. She should have like a place open for you. So she basically like is really sweet and takes her out to that bed and breakfast. And so she's just planning on staying there till the weather clears where she can fly to Hawaii still. And Nolan is like the older son, and he comes home kind of for the holidays to visit, and he ends up staying in like his room, which this was like his house home, from growing up, and is like right next to her. And they have like a crazy first meeting because I think he was like fully naked and she walked in on him. And so she's like, whoa. So they're kind of in this forced proximity situation, hanging out. The grandma's like trying to like kind of force them together. He was married, but ended badly and ended that. And so he's kind of in a not that great place. And he's very attracted to her, but it's a pretty big age gap. And she is actually a virgin and she was planning on kind of like hooking up with like a surfer guy or something in Hawaii, but she is insanely attracted to Nolan. So they basically kind of decide to have a hookup while she's there. And they have a lot of really great conversations. He's motivating her to go after her dreams. He's also, I think he had like a PhD and teaching and stuff. And so they end up kind of having this great fling, but then what's going to happen once she has to go to Hawaii? Are they going to talk again? What's going to go on there? So this was a fun, cute, I listened to it really quickly while I was cooking dinner one night. It was a very cute, spicy, fun time. So I ended up giving it 5 stars. I think it's a really good holiday novella because they do a lot of holiday stuff together while she's stuck there. And then I did give it 3 chilies. Okay, I have another ALC. I listened to Cash by Jessica Peterson. This is the first book in the Lucky River Ranch series, and I've seen this around, so I was really excited to get the ALC for this. I've never read Jessica Peterson, and I fell in love with this book. This is like everything I want in a cowboy romance. I loved Cash so much, the character and the book, but this was so great. Okay, so in this we have Cash and Molly, and Molly actually is her father just passed, and he had a lot of money and also this big ranch, and her parents had split when she was younger, and she went to live with her mom like in the city, so she didn't really have the best relationship with her father. He wasn't always there for her. He was very dedicated to the ranch, and her mother kind of like hated the cowboy and that whole lifestyle, so she kind of got fed certain like feelings from her mom growing up. So she's feeling pretty bad because her and her father had not the best relationship, and he passed, and they never really got to work through anything. So she goes to this small town to do the reading of the will, and she ends up running into Cash there, who he is the foreman of the ranch. Him and his brothers have their own ranch, but it was like kind of going out of business. It was tough times for his family, and he's been like, her father was like a father figure to him. He's been working his ass off as the foreman on that ranch. He's such an amazing hero, like so strong and capable, and he puts like all of everything like on his shoulders for his family. So I really loved him, but he definitely is grumpy, and they have a bad first meeting because he was promised the ranch from her father, but her father ends up leaving it to her. So he's pretty pissed off, and she also is pissed off because she just kind of wanted the inheritance and to like sell the ranch and kind of leave. But there is a stipulation that she has to be there for a year at the ranch before she can have it and get her inheritance and everything. So at first I didn't think I was really going to like Molly because she seemed kind of selfish, like just wanting to sell the ranch, and she was all upset and all that kind of stuff. But she really grew on me because there was so much more to her. She had a lot of grief and like vulnerability, like and all this stuff going on. And once she comes and lives at the ranch, she just falls in love with it. And she realizes she loves this lifestyle. She loves the ranch. The problem is that she also has her own like cowboy boots for, cowgirl boot kind of thing, fashion line in the city. And she really loves that too. So, it's kind of trying to find out what she's going to do with her life, once everything resolves itself. But her and Cash really bond once she's living there and getting to see the ranch lifestyle. He puts her to work, and she works hard. And he realizes he had a wrong impression of like the city girl, and they end up really bonding and having so many great intimate conversations. They bond over like their shared grief. She shows her vulnerable side and about how upset she was that she didn't really have the relationship with her father that she wanted. And so I just really loved this. It gave you all the cowboy vibes. I love the ranch. I loved his brothers. I just really loved this. And I thought that it was resolved so well. Like there's no third act breakup or anything. And they have good communication, and how they try to figure out how they're going to make this work once, how is she going to be in the city and at the ranch and all of that kind of stuff. And they had such great chemistry. I just love this. So I give this 5 stars and 3 chilies. And then it was narrated by one of my favorite male narrators, which is Stephen Dexter. He is my favorite. Like, I love him so much. Him and Teddy Hamilton are like my favorite male narrators. So it was Stephen Dexter and Lila Winters, and she had a really great like Southern accent, and they were just really great together. So absolutely really recommend this. I can't wait till the next book comes out. I think it's Wyatt, if I'm thinking correctly. I'm hoping that'll come out in ALC so I can get that at one point because I really loved this. So this was definitely a standout this week for me. Okay, so then I had another arc, and this was Enticing by Bella Matthews. I just read the previous book like really quickly last month, at the end of last month, because I wanted to prepare for this one. And this is the 3rd book in the Red Lips and White Lies series. These are all like the 2nd generation of Bella Matthews. Has this huge like interconnected family series, so it's kind of hard if you're coming in not knowing who all these people are. But I came in only reading the second generation, and I really love them. So I really want to kind of go back and read like the parents' romances too. But this is about Leo Sinclair and Addie. And let me just tell you, Leo is like top book boyfriend material. I loved Aries, which was a previous hero in her other series. And I think Leo might even be better than Aries. He was fantastic because this is a single mom. You know, came out of a really like bad relationship. He was abusive, and she is really struggling. So Addie is a single mom. She's got I think her daughter's like 6 years old. I'm thinking around that. Very smart 6-year-old, but she also has a baby daughter. And so she is really struggling. She is a successful romance author, but you know, in between books and all this money had to go to her babies, like had complications and surgeries. So she's really struggling. And she ends up meeting Leo because he is kind of helping do this outreach, kind of teaching kids to skate and play hockey because he is a pro NHL hockey star. So he's kind of doing that to help his image a little bit. And her daughter is in one of those lessons. Her car is like breaking down, which of course she can't even afford this. And he comes out to try and help her. Now, she is very grumpy and very closed off, and he is very sunshine. So, but she has a lot of issues trusting people and letting people in because of what she went through in her previous relationship. And so Leo ends up helping her, giving her a ride home. He gets her like car towed to get fixed. He is so good with her kids, and they just love him instantly. She even has like her baby is very difficult with people, and he's like the baby whisperer. Like he's just so amazing with these kids. So he kind of wears her down, like wanting to be with her, but he doesn't want to scare her away. So he's not pushing her too far. He's just kind of slowly kind of trying to get in there. Her sister ends up kind of helping things along because she's really struggling. Things are really tough. And they actually come from a very rich family from another hockey league. Her dad, her mother and father, like they own that franchise, and like they died in a plane crash. So they have a lot of money that they're set to inherit, but their parents put stipulations in the will to try and kind of control what they do. And so she has to get married before she can get her inheritance. So Leo's like, hey, I'll marry you. Like, let's do this. She's scared to do it, but he's all in because he already is in love with, like, fallen in love with her, loves her kids, and he knows, like, they are meant to be. So they have this marriage of convenience so that she can get her inheritance. But also once she gets married, her ex is like, who never wanted anything to do with the kids, is like seeing this, and he's going to come back into the picture. So that's going to add kind of like that danger element at the end. But what I loved about this was Leo and how amazing he was with her and her kids. He was 100% in. That's something I love with single mom romances, is like when this guy comes in and he just steps up to the plate and he is fully there for her. So sweet. I loved this. This is such a great series. If you haven't checked it out already, I highly recommend it. So I ended up giving this one 5 stars and then 2.5 chilies. And then obviously there is a trigger warning for the previous domestic abuse. Okay, so another arc, and this was Emperor of Lust. This is Jagger Cole's new release. This is out now, so you can definitely check this out. This is the 3rd book in the Memento Mori series, which is his Yakuza series, which I'm loving. Like, I'm loving this series. So this one is between Damien and Hannah, and Damien is one that I've been like highly anticipating. He is actually part of the Bratva. He was introduced from the 1st book in this series, and he's kind of like, he's giving me like Draco vibes because he's got like that pale blonde hair and kind of pale skin and violet eyes from like this skin condition that he has. But he is like this badass. They kind of say he's like a psychopath, but honestly, he was like the sweetest psychopath to me. I mean, yeah, he does some really shady shit, but he's not that bad compared to other psychopaths. So I loved him. But in this, we kind of have a crazy situation going on because Hannah is the sister to the guy that's heading up the Yakuza, and she is part of the Yakuza, but she deals with a lot of like their illegitimate businesses and stuff like that, and like the money. But she has a big secret that she's hiding from her family, and that is that she has been basically kind of posing. She wears like a mask and everything, but she is like helping people, other crime organizations, legitimize their money, do the money money laundering. I couldn't even think how to say that. Money laundering, and she's hiding this from her family because she's putting that to use in their businesses, which isn't that great, but she's just trying to keep them safe and good and all their money and stuff. Well, she ends up going to a meeting and they attack her and they're like tying her up. They're going to assault her, and Damien shows up. And Damien is actually kind of her competitor, and he didn't know who this person was. That was because it was like hidden identity. And when he sees her there, she still has her mask on. He kills these guys in like a brutal fashion. It's super badass. And then he like is basically threatening her, and she can't have sex with him. She doesn't want to have sex because she has trauma from a past where it was a sexual assault. They didn't fully rape her, but they had her bound and they were going to. So she has issues being bound, and right now she's being bound and she's like freaking out. So she kind of offers to give him her mouth instead, and he's like, okay, so he does. And this is giving me Carter Mahoney vibes, and he was supposed to that was to let her go and whatever. And he still takes her mask off at the end and finds out who she is. So now he has this over her, and he's threatening to expose this to her family. And another thing happens is that her family is trying to expand. They're in Kyoto, and they're trying to expand to Tokyo. But the businesses, the people there are very old school Yakuza, and they are not going to listen to a woman, especially an unmarried woman. So they come up with a plan to have her have this fake engagement with Damien. And so she's not really excited about this because Damien is threatening her and blackmailing her, and he wants to use her sexually and kind of have this control over her. And now they're forced in this fake engagement. So I loved this. Damien was amazing. He was so alpha. He really likes to bind her up, and she had issues being bound, but he's really into shibari, but she gets turned on with him. So she feels safe with him, and they have insane chemistry. Jagger Cole always brings the heat. The sex is always on point. But I did really actually like these last couple Jagger Cole because he's actually built their romantic connection and intimacy more than he was in the previous series, I think. So I think it's better because I feel like they actually have an emotional connection or falling in love with each other. So, and she does have somebody from her past that had to do with that sexual assault, kind of sending threatening videos. And so now he's worried for her safety and wanting to protect her. So there's his mafia stuff is always excellent. The plots, the twists, everything. There's always an exciting third act that is always top notch with Jagger Cole's mafia. So even if you don't fully buy into the romance, I think the mafia storyline is always really, really good. But I love this. I love Damien. So I ended up giving this one 5 stars, and it was 4 chilies. It was spicy. Okay, so now I went to an ALC. I actually was really excited. I got this ALC for the Redemption Hill series, where it's all 4 books bound up into one audiobook. So you're going to see a few of them in this wrap up. But the first one was Give Me a Reason. And this is all by A.L. Jackson. And it's the Redemption Hills series. So this is book number 1. And this is between Trent and Eden. And Eden is this is a bad boy, good girl kind of romance. She is basically kind of going to Trent at his club, begging for a job because her sister has been an issue in her family's life. And she kind of came and stole her father's money. Her father is heading up kind of this, private school, and he's in really bad situation because all the money was gone and keeping the school going. And she's actually a teacher at that school as well. And so she's doing this to try and help her dad out to get money and everything. And so Trent doesn't want to give her a job. He thinks she doesn't fit in because she's definitely like, he thinks she's too good for the place. But she wears him down and she ends up getting a job there. And then he realizes that she's also his son's new teacher. So his son, by the way, Gage, was such a star in this book. He was the most adorable little kid. Like, I love it when an author can write a good kid. Like, sometimes it just fails in books. So, like, when the kid is a star, that's fantastic writing to me. So Trent is like this tattooed. He used to be an MC. His father was like this head of this MC and very brutal. His family has a very traumatic background of a lot of loss and trauma. And so he has basically left that lifestyle to protect his son and give his son the best life he can. He's his reason for everything he does. And so he's very devoted to that and wants to focus on his child. But he is so attracted to Eden and he can't like stop thinking about her. They're working together. She's his son's teacher. And so they just have insane chemistry. And so I really, really loved this. The thing I want to say though, a lot of people and I would have issues reading A.L. Jackson's book physically because she writes these like flowery prose and it's very like lyrical like type of writing. And it can kind of be a little bit much when you're reading it. So I've been requesting her audiobooks because I think it comes out so much better in her audiobooks. So to me, listening to this was a 5-star read. I loved it. I love their connection. I love the kid. They voice the kid so well too. They give him so much character. This was narrated by Connor Craze and Desiree Ketchum, and they did a fantastic job. We have stuff coming up from Trent's background, his MC, that's danger level coming in that they're kind of threatening Eden. So he's very worried for her safety. So he wants to protect her, but also he's scared to like let her in. And there is a third act twist and reveal that I did not see coming. So I always applaud an author for doing that because I always feel like I know what's coming. And I honestly didn't see it coming this time. So I thought it was really, really well done. They have amazing chemistry, some really sweet, intimate moments. So I really, really loved this. So again, I gave this 5 stars and then 2.5 chilies. Okay, so then I read another arc. And I'm going to have an unpopular opinion because I didn't love it. And everybody is giving this 5 stars and raving about it. So I'm probably going to not be the one. You might love this. It just wasn't working for me. Anyways. This was Bourbons and Secrets by Victoria Wilder. This is the second book in the Bourbon Boys series. I did not read the first one. Honestly, this cover fucking sold me. I saw this cover, saw it was like a burlesque dancer type of thing, and I wanted it. So I think this has a really good, like, a lot of good setup, amazing characters, good dynamics, amazing banter and chemistry and all this type of stuff. But it was just a little slow going for me. So in this, we have Lincoln and Faye, and they have a crazy beginning because Lincoln is actually kind of, him and his wife are kind of like not in a good place. He found out she was like cheating on him. He's thinking, you know, it's basically she's told him it's over. He's out. And he's freaking out. His family owns like this bourbon company. So he's very into create their own bourbons. And it's a big brand. But he's out riding a horse and everything. And he runs into Faye, who's like caught in a really compromising position. It's clear she's done something bad. Maybe hidden a body or killed somebody, that type of thing. And she basically maneuvers it where she can make him look guilty. I don't want to give too much away, but so she just kind of like blackmails him to like keep it quiet. And so he's pissed. He's a single father. Like he's going to be a single father because later that night his wife is going to die tragically too. But so he's a single father. He doesn't want her drama coming and touching his family. So he basically tells her, you better leave town. So he kind of like forces her out. And now it's 5 years later and she's coming back to this town because she's a burlesque dancer, but basically a private investigator. She was supposed to be becoming a cop before everything went down that night. So she actually kind of poses as a burlesque dancer, kind of like a honey trap situation. She's investigating this shady guy, and so he's kind of on the hook, and she needs to go to the location and do the burlesque dancing in this town where he's gonna be at. So she's kind of like working with the cops and the FBI on this guy, and there's other stuff going on. So she comes back to town, and he's pretty pissed because she was never supposed to come back, but he's really into her, and they have an attraction, and there's other stuff going on with, like, you know, strange crimes and things with, like, the horses and, like, the people that, like, these guys that are powerful in that town, and you kind of learn more about what happened in the past. So it's more of like a romantic suspense too. So I think it has everything set up really well, but I thought it was like 100 pages too long. It might have been me too, because I had so many arcs to do this week, and it was taking me forever to get through this book, and it was stressing me out. So it might have been a me problem, but it was just slow for me. I felt it was too repetitive. I was skimming a lot of the last 100 pages. I was bored. I felt their connection, but I wasn't really that invested in it. I did really like the side characters. I felt like I was more interested in the side characters. I wish I would have read the first book. But I don't know. It just didn't work for me. I didn't think it needed to be like over 450 something pages. It could have been like 350 and been a 5-star for me. But I just felt like it was kind of drawing out. I was bored. I was like, let's get to it. And so I don't know. Anyways, I'm in the minority because everybody's giving this 5 stars. So I have to give you my honest opinion though. And I don't think it was a 5-star. So I ended up, even with it being an arc, giving it 3.5 stars because it dragged for me. And I wasn't happy for like the last half of the book. I was bored. So I was going to round it up to 4 because it was like an arc, but I was like, no. So I gave it 3.5, and I'm probably one of the only people that gave it that. So you may love it. It just didn't work for me. So 3.5 stars, 3 chilies. I am definitely interested in the next one though. So maybe that one will be better. I don't know. We'll see. So then I continued with the A.L. Jackson audiobooks that I got. And this one is Say It's Forever. And this is the second book in the Redemption Hill series. And I love this one too. So this one is between Judd and Salem. Judd is Trent's brother. They all have pretty traumatic pasts dealing with their father and the MC and things that they've done in their past. But he runs into Salem. It's a rainy night. She's broken down on the side of the road. And he basically offers to help her, and he owns his own shop and everything. And so he basically takes her there. He kind of lives over, like his place is over the shop, and she stays the night there. And then it ends up being her like brother works for him, and he's like pissed off that his sister was there. Salem has a very tragic past. She has been a woman on the run for many years. But they think it might be safe for her now to come live with her brother, and she is a single mom, and they've just been constantly moving from place to place to place. From her ex. Her ex is a total psycho, criminal kind of guy, and so they've just constantly been on the run. He's never fully ever caught up to them. It was just that paranoid feeling, so they think she might be safe. But she's very closed off because of what happened to her, the domestic abuse, and how she had to live. So it takes a bit for her to like warm up to Judd, but he is just so swoon-worthy and sweet, and he does all these sweet things for her. He does have his own issues because his like marriage and he had a kid kind of fell apart from when they learned the truth about what him and his family did. But this was another cute, really sweet one. Very romantic suspense. There's the third act was exciting, and stuff happening with the ex. But I loved their connection. They were really sweet together, and I was really enjoying this series. So I give this one 5 stars and 3 chilies. And this one was narrated by Joe Arden and Andy Arndt. It was an excellent audiobook as well. So I definitely recommend the audiobooks for A.L. Jackson. Okay, so then I read another arc, and this was Consume Me by Bianca Borell. This is the third book in the Corrupt Legacy series. This is kind of like a secret society, like college kind of series. Now, I'm not going to go into the whole setup of the previous two books, but there's a lot of stuff happening with this kind of secret society, 5 families type of thing. They're in power. And this book is about Blake, which I was really anticipating his because he had to do stuff that was to protect his friends from, like, they have evil parents, basically, like his evil father and then the other hero's evil father. That's like his best friend. He had to do stuff, kind of play double agent a little bit and do some crazy stuff to protect them, but they look at it as a betrayal. And so he, had been crushing and pining after Mia, one of the other girls, and she was really into him. But he basically knew he was too damaged and that they were like all pissed at him, so he left at the last book. And he ends up coming back because Cassandra is in power now. It's kind of hard to explain the whole setup if you haven't read the other books. I mean, you definitely have to read these in order to get what's going on. So do not read without reading the previous 2 books. But he comes back, and his father and then the other guy's father, they were actually being held prisoner because they did some really bad things. They're the big bad guys in this. And they actually escape. So now they're worried about everybody's safety. His father is actually going after Mia because he knows Mia is his weakness. And Mia was really upset because she just felt like she was pining after him. And it was like, that crush that didn't really feel the same way about you. But he definitely was into her. He's in love with her, but he thinks he's too damaged. And so he keeps like pushing her away and not being with her. So Mia kind of takes it into her own hands to try and date other guys to make him jealous. And it kind of pushes him, because he's super possessive and protective over her, to kind of step up and go for it. So I gotta say, I really loved Blake. I loved Mia. Blake had such a traumatic life, like backstory with what his father did to him. I'm not going to go into all that, but it was really sad, and everything he went through. He's hiding even more secrets that he thinks Mia would never be able to forgive him for. So he's very scared to go there with her. But like, he is so amazing to her. He like shows her he loves her through so many little acts of care. He always does like aftercare with her because they get pretty, their sex is pretty hot, and she loves romance books, so he'll like read those and see, okay, well, obviously she's in a primal place, so he did that with her. So it was really great. So I really enjoyed this one. I think it was very well done. There was a lot of action at the end going on with the suspense element of this. So definitely enjoying this series. I can't wait for Bailey's romance next, because she's kind of like the hacker of the group, and there's a lot going on with Mia's brother and her. So very interested to see where that goes. So I ended up giving this one 5 stars. I really enjoyed it. And it was 3.5 chilies. So like, my point with this one was like the same length as the other book, but it had so much going on, so much action, so much like that it didn't draw it out for me. It wasn't like long and boring to me. So that's why this one was a 5-star. Okay, so the last one that I listened to was another ALC, and this was on the A.L. Jackson again. So this is the 3rd book, and this is Never Look Back. And this is between Logan and Aster. Logan is another one of the brothers. Oh, there's a loud-ass bird outside. Logan is another one of the brothers, but he wasn't really tied to the MC. He was actually really smart, and he works in finance, and he's super successful. And this one is interesting because it definitely has ties to like mafia, and it's a second chance. So I didn't love this one as much as the 1st and 2nd book, because I just didn't really fully connect with the romance and characters as much. Because there was so much flashbacks, and that's kind of a problem I have with Second Chance. I'm very picky when it comes to Second Chance, when you're just told how much they love each other, and then it was kind of like fell apart, and I don't know, you just don't feel it as much to me. So anyways, this is Logan and Aster, and Logan goes to a card game for one of his clients, and he's playing poker, and it ends up being against his enemy, who is Aster's husband. And him and Aster have a complicated history. things fell apart. They both feel like the other betrayed the person, so they're kind of going in with kind of miscommunication, but they both kind of fucked up their relationship when they were younger. She was a daughter of a mafia, don, and so she was forced into this marriage with this husband who basically bets her in the bet because he's so desperate. So he wins her in the bet. And he's gonna let her go or whatever, but like her husband just like left her, took the plane and left. And so she wants to try and use this opportunity to kind of talk her dad into letting her leave her husband, because her husband he doesn't have a son. He's going to be like next in line for the mafia. And she wants to prove that he's doing shady shit or something so she can get her freedom, because there is domestic abuse in this too. And she's just so unhappy in this marriage. And so she ends up staying with Logan, and her dad gives her like 30 days. So she's basically staying with him, and they kind of have to work things out, talk about the past, things come to light, all that kind of stuff. So I liked it. I just didn't like it as much. All the flashbacks were kind of taking me out of it. And so I ended up giving this one 4 stars. They did have great connection and, chemistry and everything, but I just didn't love it as much as the other one. The kids are stars again in this, so it's amazing. So this one was narrated by Zachary Weber and Aaron Mallon. And again, the audiobooks are really well done. I loved Zachary's voice. They did the kids' voices really well. There's a lot of suspense in this, so they add that in the audiobook. It's very well done. So I give this one 4 stars and 3 chilies. Okay, so those are the books that I read this week. Thank you so much for watching this. Hopefully, I'm going to try and get started on some fantasy today. I'm hoping I can get to some because I still have some ALCs and ARCs too, so it's tough. All right, thank you so much for watching. Don't forget to hit that subscribe button, leave me a comment, and like the video, and I will see you guys on the next one.